Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current, cultural, and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. All right. For those of you who are brand new, thank you for joining us. We know there's a lot of options out there, and we appreciate you taking the time to join our show. And hopefully this will make a difference. Those of you who have been here along this journey, thank you for returning. We always appreciate that. That's why we start off our program with that pretty much every time. So I have recently been struggling with something. This whole government shutdown thing. Now, I don't know if you're in this with me, but this is a big cultural issue. And my question that I posed, and I've been sort of processing this for a little while because, well, we've been in this for a while. What are we starting week 4 or something like that? It's been a little bit. My question is, what are the biggest problems that the government shutdown has caused? And I got to thinking, so far, there's not a whole terrible lot of things. And I know there's a lot of anxiety rising, and I'm not saying that's not nothing. Like, I am a mental health professional. What I'm saying is there has not been any significant damage done at this point, which is good. I would rather there not be a significant amount of damage done. But I started thinking, how could the government shut down and there not be significant damage? Now, my mind goes to, well, a couple of things. One, you've got, maybe they really did a good job of selecting those employees who needed to be there in spite of no funding. And there's probably some truth in that. Your essential employees. Or maybe, just maybe, the federal government has gotten really fat and there's a lot of trimming that could happen. That's another possibility. And I'm sure there's other possibilities. But I thought, you know what, let's just go over some of the things that we hear about, at least, as being areas where damage can really occur. The federal workers and contractors, they're directly affected. That's true. Where did they all go? What are they doing? Federal workers and contractors, there's a lot of uncertainty and pay issues. Did they just disappear? Or are they essential employees? And so they're getting, they're still working. Or maybe something along the lines of the public sector has absorbed a bunch of them. That's another good possibility, so that we're not necessarily paying them the federal wages. Now, that would be probably a pretty significant pay cut and benefit cut for a lot of people. And I understand that. That's not a nothing. But if that's the worst thing that's happened, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be the end of the world, for sure, as it's portrayed sometimes. Federal program disruption, like FHA, FAA, SNAP programs. These are all things that they have been disrupted, or they will be disrupted. And disrupted is different than failed, right? Loans are slower to be processed. Okay. The Aviation Administration. So there's some delays in air travel. Okay. I mean, you think about how that falls out is some people are going to probably ride the train or drive their car or these alternative transportation models. So it could put some stress on other modes of transportation at some point, but it hasn't yet. There's just been some delays. Economic uncertainty, the third thing. Federally funded businesses are going to be impacted. So we're going to see things like, say, maybe in the stock market, they're going to change because there's There's been, those federal funds are not coming through. So the businesses are going to have to get more agile if they want to survive. Okay. Public trust. This to me, the fourth one was the easiest one of them all. Let's be real. How many people right now trust the federal government anyway? I mean, truly trust the federal government. There's not a lot on any side of the aisle, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, an independent, a constitutionalist, an unaffiliated, whatever. There is not a ton of trust going on anyway. So, I mean, I know that's going to take a ding, but how much does that actually impact anything at this point? Not really much, which is probably why we're still in it. These politicians probably realize they don't have much to lose there. So who cares? Let's fight it out and try to win some social battles of sorts, like the No Kings thing. So my thinking after kind of compiling a list of areas where there's like maybe some significant impacts, I went to, so who is at greatest risk? And if you go looking this up and you start digging in, there's something that pops really, really fast. It's the words vulnerable populations. And I have been waiting for an opportunity to really address this in a way. And this context creates a sweet spot for me. Vulnerable populations. This is phenomenal. So who is vulnerable? Who is it? That's a good question. Let me tell you a story. This is going to be maybe for some of you kind of new information. For some of you it's not new at all. There's a guy who lived a long time ago. His name was Abraham Lincoln. Now I know you're sitting there going like, Abraham Lincoln. Everybody knows who Abraham Lincoln is, right? We know he was the president of the United States, that he put in a huge effort to eliminate slavery and did some of the most incredible work around it. He was called Honest Abe because he was always honest, so they say, right? That a lot of people remember he had a top hat. Some of you may not know some things about Abraham Lincoln, though. Some really important things. In 1831, he failed a business. In 1832, he ran for state legislature and he lost. In 1832, he also lost his job, wanted to go to law school and couldn't get in. In 1833, he decided, hey, you know what? I already failed one business in 1831. Let's start a second business, a new one. So in 1833, he did just that. He borrowed a bunch of money from a friend. By the end of 1833, the business went bankrupt. He lost it all. He's failed two businesses. Spent 17 years paying off that friend. That's part of the reason he's got the name Honest Abe. In 1834, he decides, you know what? I failed a couple of businesses. Can't do all these other things. So you know what? Let's run for state legislature again. And he won. I don't know how that all happened, but it did. It occurred. So he goes through a major depression in 1835 because the young woman he was engaged to died suddenly, and it just broke him. It absolutely broke him. So he went through a major depression, 6 months, like severe depression. In 1838, he gets himself back. Actually, so the story actually goes, a friend came and pulled him out of his home, said, you got to get your crap together and get back to work. Let's do this. And he was not really having it, but his friend was persistent. Now, I don't know this. Like, you'd have to look this up. I didn't look it up. But I like to think that maybe that friend that he owed a bunch of money to was just the guy for the job, came in and said, no, you don't get to just lay here and die on my watch. You owe me a bunch of money, man. Come on. They were really good friends. That would have been a funny conversation to have. In 1838, though, He sought to become the Speaker of the state legislature. He was defeated. In 1840, he sought to become an elector. He was defeated. In 1843, he ran for Congress and he lost. In 1846, he ran for Congress again and then he won. He went to Washington, D.C., did a good job. 1848, he ran for re-election to Congress and he lost. 1849, he sought the job of land officer, which would have been a huge step down from Congress. And he was rejected. In 1854, he ran for Senate and he lost. In 1856, he sought the vice presidential nomination at his party's convention. And what do you think happened? He got less than 100 votes. Ouch. In 1860, he ran for president of the United States and he won. Okay, why did I tell you that? Because who is at risk? If you are going by what they tell us, what the culture tells us, what the politicians tell us, then this guy, Abraham Lincoln, Honest Abe, would have been one of the most vulnerable in the population. Think about it. All these things over a period of 20 years? I mean, he would have been in the vulnerable population. So who is vulnerable? The least resilient? People who haven't learned to overcome challenges? The reality is, the most vulnerable populations are often the ones we are intentionally creating. We do it a lot. I see it psychologically, culturally. I see it happen. Some of the most vulnerable populations are these folks that when they feel something, they are given permission to wallow in it for days and weeks and months and years. And, oh, here's a pill. We have lost balance. We have stopped creating resilience as a culture, all in the name of comfort. Oh, you have a pain, here's a pill. Oh, you don't feel like you're ready for the test? Why don't you just go ahead and take it tomorrow? What? Now, I'm not suggesting we go overly rigid, but I'm also suggesting that a shutdown, something that creates discomfort, could help us gain resilience. Look, we learned a lot. Say another example of that would have been COVID. We changed everything only to realize how stupid we were being and how much damage we were causing in the name of comfort. So here are some challenges that I think every person should encounter. Every person. I think every person should encounter economic challenges. Every one of them. Do I like them? Did I like the economic challenges that I personally had to face and still face these days? Don't like them. But without them, what's the alternative? It means I'm taking a handout. I'm not contributing. There's no resilience being built if all I do is expect a handout. There is a tipping point. Sometimes, some situations would dictate that a handout is appropriate. Somebody who has a track record of being responsible and some catastrophe type situation occurs. If I think about a farmer who spends, hundreds of thousands on equipment, and then there's some sort of a weather event and they lose all of their equipment. Okay, fine. There's a catastrophe type situation. I understand handouts at times. There was no foreseeable way to protect that situation. Well, you might go, well, what about insurance? No, I'm not doing that. You could go back and listen to my other podcasts on insurance. Insurance companies often are some of the biggest thieves in our country, and they'll steal a penny from everybody and get rich doing it. Second area, health. Battle wounds, people. If you live a life of comfort, then chances are you don't work out hard enough. You don't eat the right things. You're part of the reason we have doubled our obesity in the last 15 years. And that's not an exaggeration. Went from like 20 something percent up to over 40%. Huge increase in diabetes. Discomfort is part of the deal physically with your health. There's a tipping point. You can overwork your body, but if we want people to live, physical comfort is not the path. It is not the path. Just, like look at what happens when we go down that path of comfort. Not a lot of good stuff. Now, how much discomfort? We gotta measure that, right? We don't want to be unrealistic, but it's more than you think you can handle. I know that for sure. Geography. You're like, what? How does geography come into this? And every person should manage a geographical issue? Yes. You should be in a mountain. You should be in a lake. You should be in an ocean. You should be in a river. You should be walking across a desert. You should experience different environments. You absolutely should. It gives you gratitude for the environment that you settle in, and it keeps you resilient. It tells you, it teaches you, I can do hard things. Sometimes hard things are beautiful. I remember the first time I walked in the desert and I realized I was actually running. I was in the military. I was in 29 Palms. And I realized how much life lived in the desert. The little critters, the coyotes, the bats. There is life in the desert. But a lot of people, they don't actually know that. By the way, there's life on the top of a mountain in most situations. I've seen moose and bears. I've seen little rodents that burrow into the snow. There's wolverines, one of the most amazing animals on the planet. Folks, if you have not been geographically exposed to something different, put it on your list. It will increase your ability to survive and thrive. Your resilience will go up. And it goes up because you increase a level of discomfort and you learn to manage it. And then there's this other category that often comes up. So I'm just going to address it so that I can be direct. A lot of times, people will say every person should encounter or how do I say it? A social demographic issue. And here's the thing. I understand that in our world, there are things like racism, sexism, all the isms. And I think there's some wisdom in exposing yourself to different cultural experiences. Being in a place where you are not necessarily in the demographic norm. And I'm going to just be really, really clear. The exposure, sure, no problem with it. The getting stuck in it, Let's be real. Some people pride themselves off of their cultural experiences, and that's cool. I'm happy for you. But that doesn't make you a good human being. No race, no gender, none of that stuff makes you a good human being. Your character, who you are. So, challenges everyone should encounter, social demographic challenges, absolutely. You should do it. You should learn from it. And what you should, in my opinion, what you should walk away with at the end is people are amazing. And if you walk away with anything other than that, you're an idiot. Sorry, you just are. I don't care what race, religion, culture, whatever you are. If you go in and you come out more judgmental, you're not more resilient. You're more naive. So yes, but don't be an idiot. And the main way that we are an idiot in that category is we start to think that our race, our gender, selfishly is the best. Maybe not. There are places in the world that are amazing. Go explore them. Psychologically, we have become too comfortable. We have foregone the spaceship in Wall-E, and we have created it in our cities and towns. We are far too comfortable. We are fat and happy. And we don't understand a lot of times that resilience doesn't come through comfort. We've lost track of it in many ways culturally. Your kids should have some discomfort. It should happen. Your friends should have some discomfort. If you're busy trying to solve each other's problems, you are creating weakness. That doesn't mean love and support shouldn't be there. Absolutely love and support one another. Part of love and support is knowing where to let them struggle so that they can grow the muscle of resilience. By the way, it's an entire field of psychology. Help each other out by not doing everything for everybody or being selfish and only doing for yourself, but finding that spot in between where you are creating resilience in the people that you love and struggling a little more than you want to. I hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, follow, all of those things. Join us next time, and we'll see you again. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.